Hello everyone and welcome to Fifth North. I'm Demir and today I'll be eliminating the totally hideous stock fender that came on my 2019 Vitpilen 401. Alright everyone, so as you know, I've been spending a lot of time customizing my 2019 Husqvarna Vitpilen 401 to have it look, sound, and ride exactly as I want it to, and the next step in that process is getting rid of the stock rear fender and license plate holder. I think it is probably the worst part of this bike, aside from the 2019 graphics package. I just feel like it's very bulky, it doesn't look very good, and it just takes away from the overall possibilities of what the bike could look like. So big shout out to Competition Werkes. They actually sent me one of their Fender Eliminator kits. If you guys want to check it out, there is going to be a link in the description down below, but needless to say, super awesome product that really changes the look of the bike, and in my opinion it's one of the best bangs for your buck when it comes to changing the look and style of the bike. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive in and I'll show you guys how to install this and what it looks like when it's all said and done. Alright, so we're going to jump in here real quick and use a star key to take out one of these screws here. There are 3 screws, as you guys can see, that need to be removed to get this party started, so go ahead and take this one out first. Definitely keep hold of your screws, that way you've got them in case you ever want to reverse the job. Next up, you've got this one right here. They're all going to be a little bit stiff, obviously, if you've never removed them before, but a little bit of muscle and they'll come right out. And then after you're done with this one right here, we go ahead and jump onto the one right above it. So again, there's these first 3 screws. They are all star key or torque screws, and surprisingly they're all different sizes, which is kind of weird, but anyway, moving on from there, you've got these 2 screws right here. These will be the parts that are actually holding the factory license plate holder and factory taillights in place. Yeah, that was smooth. All right, so let me get this one out right here while I hold on. Make sure you hold on to the fender part. That way it doesn't just smack on the ground and possibly break your taillights, even though obviously my left taillight is already broken. Long story there that I won't get into. Anyway, so you unscrew it, you pull it off, and keep in mind the cables are still attached. So just be very careful with that so you don't tear or mess anything up. So as you'll see, this cable is clipped in right here. Go ahead and release that clip from the cable, and that'll give you a little bit more room to work with to set it all down on the ground. From there is this back screw right here. Go ahead and loosen that one up. It's kind of weird to get to, but a little bit of finagling and you'll get it nice and loose, and that whole part comes down. All right, so now you've got the back side of the actual fender part. If you unscrew it, it'll bring the taillights out, and now you can actually unclip. Once you've unclipped it, you can separate the lights, and then everything becomes so much easier. Okay, so this is the factory turn signal assembly. I'm not going to be using that, so not too worried about it. All right, pulling out all the cables here, and now you've basically got the whole back end removed. Now you got to find a way to run all the cables back from that back area up through the seat to where the new taillight section is going to be. So what you need to do is remove the chain guard, because that's where the cables actually run through. So the first part is you've got this super duper long screw. It'll take forever to unscrew, but when you finally do, it'll help get the process started. So again, super long screw here, still going, my goodness. And nope, not yet. Okay, not yet. There we go. Goodness, that was long. All right, so you got one back here, you got one back here, and then you've also got one back here, and you've got one back here. Once you remove all those, the entire chain guard should just come right off, as it did, and you guys can see the cable is run through it. So we go ahead and unclip the cable, come around the other side, and pull it through the chain guard, pull it all the way out, and just be very gentle, that way you don't mess up the cable in any way. Pull it all the way out. It's gonna get stuck with the little clips. Get those through nice and easy. There you go. And then now you got to take the seat off, obviously. Very simple procedure, obviously. Just turn the key and the seat should just slide right out. Again, in my opinion, a terrible seat release, but anyway. So you grab this cable here, you start pulling it from the bottom, and that'll get the cable basically from the back of the bike to the front of the bike. Now, big part here is to tuck the cable as cleanly as you can. That way it's not, impacting anything else. You can slide the cable up through here, through the body panels. You want to make sure it goes behind the metal frame here, behind these cables, and then all the way up through right here where I'm pointing. It'll come out through this part. You can tuck it nice and clean behind this metal frame, in between the plastics, go all the way around, and you'll be good to go. So anyway, let's get back to the back of the bike. You've got 4 screws here you have to undo, and that'll remove these caps where essentially the new tail tidy or Fender Eliminator kit is going to install. So go ahead and remove all 4 of these. All right, so now that you've done that, let's take a look at what we're actually doing. So in this case, I'm actually not using the factory taillights. I'm going to be using the European spec ones, but I do need the cables from the factory ones. So I'm going to go ahead and clip them off right here, and I need actually 3 cables, and I need the part for the license plate lights. So 3 different parts I have to unclip, and then I'm going to connect the clip ends to the Euro lights, and what it looks like is something like this. So, before I do that though, if you look, the European lights have these weird little metal kind of divots. They don't work with the Fender Eliminator kit, so I actually shaved them off. So on the left, you see one that hasn't been shaved. On the right, there's one that's been shaved. So that's kind of what it looks like. Anyway, let's go ahead and strip back the wires. Once I've stripped these back, I'm going to go ahead and attach them to the European spec turn signals, and that'll make them basically compatible with my USA spec bike. So I'll do some wiring here. I'm by no means a expert or electrician, but I'll try to make it as clean as I can. So I'll use some heat shrink and try not to melt my fingers in the process. So quick heat gun action, get it nice and melted, and it'll look good. So do that for both parts. And then once I've done it for both parts, I'm actually going to go through and put one big piece to put it all together. That way it looks nice and clean, and it's a little bit more durable, a little bit more safe, hanging off the back of the bike. All right, hit it up with the heat gun again. Again, make it very, factory looking, nice and clean, nice and safe, protected a little bit from the elements and other things. Get the heat gun all the way around, nice and shrink wrapped here. There we go. Okay, Competition Werkes has their own instructions on how to do this, but I decided just to chop it up and use the from the factory license plate light. So I'm gonna go ahead and again clip the cable here, strip back the wires. I'm gonna attach it to the clip from the factory license plate light, get it all together again, do the heat wrap again, and it should be good to go. Make it a lot easier for me just to be plug and play. So again, hit it with the heat gun, get the heat shrink wrap to go ahead and shrink, and then we're ready to stick the license plate light onto the actual metal piece of the Fender Eliminator kit. So go ahead and slide it through here, nice and easy. Slide it all the way through, and then you got to line it up. It only really goes one way. It lines up pretty perfect. So just get it lined up, press it down, let it stick. It is 3M tape, so just give it, a few seconds, hold it down. That way it really sticks hard. And obviously make sure you clean it before you stick it on. That way it actually adheres nicely, and that light will shoot straight down on the license plate. Okay, so now you've got these 90-degree brackets. You want to slide the cable through. You want to slide the light or the turn signal through it as well. And then now you want to go ahead and run through. You've got the washers, you've got the other washer, and then you've got the bolt. Now, the Competition Werkes kit actually comes with its own washer. I'm sorry, not washer, but nut. I decided to use the Euro spec one that came with the kit just to make sure it was 100% compatible, because I'm not sure if the Competition Werkes nut works that well. So I just went through and did all factory. It only cost a few extra bucks, so it didn't bother me. Anyway, so here's how it works. You get it all nice and in there. You run the bolt through the license plate, run it through the license plate mount, and then you take the 90-degree bracket, attach it to the top, run the nut through there, and then you'll be good to go. So go ahead and tighten that finger tight real quick, and then you'll go through and tighten it here in just a second. Now notice the included hardware, there's two different sizes. The longer ones are for the top because they have to hold the 90-degree bracket. The shorter ones go on the bottom because they don't have a bracket to hold. So just double check that before you try to tighten it. So two tall ones, or two long ones in the top, two short ones in the bottom. And here's kind of what it all looks like when it's put together. You've got the license plate in the middle, you got the turn signals on the side with the 90-degree brackets, and all the cables run through all the little holes that are pre-drilled for you. So really nice and clean piece of kit, really assembles nicely. And then let's go ahead and put it on the bike itself. So go ahead and run all the cables through the holes that are left over from the parts you already removed. They'll come up through the bottom and they'll shoot out through the top where the seat is. Once you've run all the cables, you can then go ahead and line up the actual metal piece here, screw it in place. I don't tighten it down, I just kind of screw it in gently, that way it stays, and then I'll go ahead and line it up, shimmy it around until I get it perfect, and it's good to go. All right, so now you're back on top of the seat, or inside the seat. You've got all the cables run through. Now all you really want to do is just clip them in, make sure everything clips in properly. Double check you clipped in properly for left and right. Once I clipped them all in, I turned the bike on and then did a test for left and right, make sure I got the right clips in the right places. And then obviously you also want to clip in the license plate light to make sure that you have light there as well. Now the one from the left side, I actually am going to run underneath the seat release wire here. Tuck it in nice. It's a little bit tight, it takes a little bit of effort, but once you do get it right, it'll be nice and tucked in and won't be in the way, and that way all your wires will be super nice and clean when you're done, and it'll be hard to notice that you actually made any changes. So go ahead and tuck it in through there, clip it in, and once you've clipped it in, you can go ahead and run the cables through. As you guys can see, I'm grabbing it right here to make it easier. Give it a little pull. All the extra cables are buried here in the side, and now I can take these little clamps and clips and just kind of gently tuck them into that corner. That way they're not visible, they're not in the way, and everything just looks super nice and clean. And really, if you didn't know better, you would assume it was factory because it's just nice and tucked in. So now we go back to the bottom of the bike. You're going to want to go ahead and line this up, screw in every screw. Again, there's 4 screws to use. The screws come with the kit, so that all the hardware that you need is included. Again, I used some extra hardware because I bought the European taillights or turn signals, but long story short, you have everything that you need if you're reusing the factory lights. So again, go through and tighten all 4 of these, get them nice and tight, and it just takes a few minutes here, get them all nice and tight, and then once they're tight, you're pretty much good to go from a hard install perspective. The actual install itself is basically finished. All you really need to do now is A, check all your bolts to make sure everything is tight, and then B, check your lights, make sure you got the left on the left, right on the right. All right, so now you got to make sure your turn signals are actually facing nicely with the road, make sure they're pointing in the right direction at the right angle so everybody can see them, and then you want to go ahead and tighten them. Be very gentle when you're tightening them. If you over tighten it, you can break them. You definitely don't want to do that. All right, and now you want to make sure you reverse the process for installing the chain guard back on, and you're pretty much good to go. So this is where the old fender used to go, all the way around, all the way down below the chain guard to the back of the tire, and now as you can see, it's completely gone. From a clearance perspective, you've got roughly 5 inches between the tire and the plate. The plate is at a very good angle, so I don't think it's going to be an issue. I've hit some bumps already, and I've definitely not scraped or scratched the plate against the tire, so definitely okay there. All right, so just a friendly reminder, here's what the factory form of the bike looks like. As you guys can see, that rear fender is completely hideous and bulky, and then here's some views on what it looks like now. Alright, so what are your thoughts on the Competition Werkes Fender Eliminator kit? I personally think it looks fantastic. It completely changed the look of the bike. I think it made the bike look more sporty, more aggressive, and definitely a lot cooler than before. Again, all the parts were included that I needed. Everything was there, all the hardware. In my opinion, it was very well designed, very well built. All the materials look super high quality. And again, once I've ridden it, I've had no issues with the license plate hitting or scraping. Everything definitely worked out exactly as I thought it would, and the overall install was actually very smooth and very simple. Alright, so that's it for this video. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button for me, and if you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button as well. Hit the notification bell, that way you know when the next video comes out. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great night, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.